Hey, thanks for joining us here on 9 News Watch. I'm Chris Bianchi here with 9 News Sports Director Mackey. We're going to take a look at the Broncos' upcoming game against the vaunted Raiders. That will be coming up, of course, on this Sunday. But in the meantime, want to look back.
Do we have to?
Rod, you didn't get it right. You picked the Broncos to beat the Steelers. They didn't win. I guess the first question.
I don't recall that. I do not recall that.
We're not going to. We don't have to worry too much about that yet. I'm going to let you off the hook this week.
Okay.
But the thing I do want to ask you about, this is the main question to me because we've seen 5 games, but we've also seen 2 different Broncos teams.
Absolutely.
And I know it's a tough question, but are the Broncos good or are they bad? What would you assess them as?
I was at Trader Joe's today. The guy asked me the same thing. My answer was I kind of think they are who we thought they were. They're supposed to be a 500-ish team, a team that's going to win 8 or 9 games. You can't be 500 anymore because there's now 17 games. But that's really what it kind of feels like. I guess we got a false sense of security, so to speak, on those first 3 games. And everyone talked about the fact that these are 3 of the worst teams in the NFL, but we also know that there are no easy games in the NFL. We see that week in, week out. There's upsets all over the place. Denver handled their business. They blew out the Jets, the Giants, and the Jags. But the game against the Ravens wasn't good. The game against Pittsburgh, really bad. This is the way I'm looking at it. I think they will continue to beat these lower-level teams. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of those teams left on their schedule. The tough teams, like I'm really concerned about the Cleveland game. Going on the road to play the Browns is going to be tough. The Chargers look like a juggernaut. The Chiefs always play the Broncos tough, even though KC is struggling a little bit. So I think they're really kind of what we thought they were before the season started, kind of one of these middle-of-the-road teams, a 9-8, 8-9 type team. Chris, it was. I thought maybe Teddy would get him over. I think I got a little bit. I drank the Kool-Aid a little bit after those 3 games too. Now I'm not so sure. We'll wait and see. I think this is a huge, huge game against the Raiders. I really do. For kind of the reason I said the first 3 we knew it was going to happen. The last 2 are tough. I don't think they're going to beat Cleveland. You can't lose 4 in a row. You can't. Coach Fangio's seat's going to get a little hotter. You lose 4 in a row. You got to beat the Raiders. They're home. They're 3-2 just like you are. They're struggling just like you are. I think the Broncos have to beat the Raiders. This game is enormous, I really think.
Well, speaking of Fangio, we haven't talked a lot about him, but there are a lot of question marks, or based on what I've seen, there does seem to be a fair bit of criticism being levied at Fangio, and perhaps even more significantly at offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur, about how the Broncos have kind of gone about things. It didn't seem like, for example, the Broncos didn't wake up until, frankly, it was too late on Sunday. They almost pulled it out, which is nearly a miracle. Get down to the 2-yard line, but back at the Pittsburgh game, do you think, A, the criticism against Fangio is fair, and B, you kind of mentioned the hot seat. Do you think it starts to get hotter if they go on a 4-game?
Well, here's the coaches. Coaches, just like quarterbacks, always get too much credit. They get too much blame. It's just the way the business is. You're hired to get fired. Everyone knows the way it works. Coach Shurmur, I understand the same thing. People are looking at it going, wait, you're running the football, you're running well, why'd you stop running? Then there's other people that say, hey, look what happened in the 4th quarter against the Steelers game. You aired it out. You were able to succeed on that. Why don't you throw it more? They're armchair quarterbacks on Mondays all the time. I think that's just the way it is. You lose 4 in a row, he will be on the hot seat just because the Broncos have been so bad for so long. They've had a lot of pieces put in place that should help them out. And granted, the injuries are part of the game. They've had a lot of injuries, key injuries, but they are getting healthier. He's not on the hot seat yet, but if they lose 4 in a row, people are going to start to turn a little bit. It's just, especially with the excitement after the way the season started, people thought, okay, maybe we're getting back. And again, I think they're going to beat the Raiders. I think they're going to kind of get back to the thing. But this is the way the business is. And with the way that game shaped up, yeah, that's a big deal. You had 6 points going into the 4th quarter. That's not acceptable. You got to score points. You can't score 6 points. It used to be, Chris, remember, it used to be defense wins championships. It's now turned into a quarterback league. You got to score more than 6 points. And yes, part of the reason was Teddy brought him back. They played well. But it's human nature, and it's the nature of the NFL, and it's the prevent defenses and all that stuff. You're up as big as the Steelers were. It was 24-6. They're going to come back. Teams let down. It's just the way the things work. So somehow they do, though, as you said. 3rd downs and slow starts have been doing Denver in this year.
That's what made me kind of think about the question I just asked about Fangio was, it wasn't necessarily the Broncos were down 24-6. I just think back to watching that game, and it was, I don't know, offsides penalty leading to 3 points. It was almost, it kind of reminded me a little bit the way the Broncos played for the first 3 quarters, the way we saw the Jets play when they came here a couple weeks before that, where it wasn't that they were just a little overmatched and maybe some breaks going Pittsburgh's way. The Broncos just, until the fourth quarter, just didn't look that great. But again, that's maybe, you kind of answered that in terms of the fact that, again, maybe a little bit one side in that direction. Looking ahead to the Raiders game, maybe the best, is it the best or the worst time to have the Raiders with all the chaos, John Gruden resigning? How do you look at that?
We're going to find out. I mean, really, you don't know. I don't think the odds makers know because the point spreads haven't moved. You don't know. You don't know if they're going to rally together. I mean, you listened to Derek Carr earlier this week. The passion, there's no question what those disgusting emails from John Gruden have brought this team together. I think the Raiders have really come together, but it is a distraction. There's no doubt about that. We saw last week, they played host to the Bears. The Bears aren't a good team, and the Bears took it to them. That's when it first came because it was that Friday before that the very first email from John Gruden came out. So it was a distraction then. I think that played part of it. So it will be interesting to see how they handle it this Sunday. I don't think anyone knows what type team we're going to have. They could be a very dangerous team, or they could be a team that you get down right away and they stay down. So I think that's another reason why Sunday's going to be so interesting.
Well, you kind of hinted at that you think the Broncos are going to win.
I think they'll win. I thought they were going to win before this. They're good at home. The Raiders is, I grew up here, so you always hated the Raiders. I just think it's one of those things that they'll get up for this game. I think they're a better team than the Raiders. I think the Chargers are really, really good. I think the Chiefs are still good, even though they have been struggling. I don't think the Raiders are that good. I think this is the AFC team that you really need to take care of, and I think they will.
And this is probably, to that math, the most winnable division game the Broncos have this year because you got to go.
It's
home
them
away
and it's home.
And it's home.
I agree.
So to that point, if the Broncos lose this week, how much trouble are they really in?
That's what I mean. That's why you're kind of hovering over the panic button now. They lose this game, you might want to push down on it. They have to win this game. They really do. It's early in the season. They're not going to call it a must-win. They're still sitting in pretty good shape. They're still 3-2. But again, you lose this game. This is a game you should win. This is just like those first 3. This is one of those games you should win.
All right. So what's our prediction for Sunday?
They're gonna do this one. Let me give you a score. I missed last week. So
you
I'm
almost got it right, by the way.
I'm 4-1, so I'm one better than the Broncos are now. Let's go. I'm going to go lower scoring on this one. I'm going to go 20-13 Broncos.
Ooh,
still going under. Still going under. Last week they went over for the first time all season. Again, Vegas odds, but their defense has been good. They haven't scored a lot of points. I think the defense bounces back this week. Secondary struggled last week against Pittsburgh and Big Ben. I think they bounce back. 2013, Broncos win, get back on track a little bit, then get ready for Thursday night football, Cleveland.
Ooh, that's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, that'll be a tough one.
That's a quick turnaround.
Just be 5-3 when you go there.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the thing.
All right, Rod Mackey, Sports Director. You heard it here first. Broncos win on Sunday against the Raiders, 20-13. Again, Broncos and Raiders coming up on Sunday. I'm sure plenty of you will be watching that. We'll have all those highlights for you here on 9 News after the game. Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Watch.